Assalamu alaikum. So, a quick recap of our first episode. Scientists are telling us that the universe began to exist. The universe hasn't always been here. It's not eternal, but has a beginning. Therefore, we know there are four logical options. Either the universe, which began to exist, came from nothing, or it created itself, or it came from something. And now that something could also be something created, or it could be something uncreated. So those are the four options. Nothing, itself, something, and something can be created or uncreated. We know that nothing comes from nothing. Something comes from something. Something cannot come from nothing. And philosophers agree, scientists agree, Muslims, Christians, Jews, everybody agrees. Point number two, the universe creating itself. The universe could not have created itself because for something to create itself, it had to have existed and not existed at the same time. And that's impossible. It goes against the basic laws of logic. Something cannot be its opposite. A is not equal to negative A. So something created the universe. Makes sense. Now that something could be one of two options. Either it's something like the universe was also created, or it was something uncreated, something different. If the universe was created by something that was also created, then we ask the same set of questions. Well, what created that? Did it come from nothing, itself, something? And then what created that? And it goes on to infinity. But if it was to go on to infinity, you would never have the universe in the first place. You would never get to the point where the universe exists. For the universe to exist, which we know, the universe exists, something uncreated must have created the universe. It necessarily exists that there's an uncreated creator, or else you'll have an infinite regress of causes. You go on to infinity, you'll never have the universe. And there are a number of analogies that help us to better understand the infinite regress of causes because infinity does not exist in the real world. Use it in math, use it in philosophy, or our brains don't really comprehend, understand infinite. So the universe began to exist, and an uncreated creator created the universe. What now? Well, let's think about this uncreated creator. What do we know from the universe about this uncreated creator? Because as Muslims, we might say Allah. We might say He's the most merciful, the most kind, etc., all-knowing, all-powerful. Christians might agree on some of that and disagree on some of these attributes, qualities, and others also believe in God. But the Quran is what tells us these attributes of God. The Prophet Muhammad told us these things. From the universe itself, right, before we get into how we know the Quran is from Allah and how we know the Messenger was telling the truth and is the Messenger of God, before we even get there, just by looking at the universe, but just by using our rational thinking, just by using our intellect, we can come to the conclusion that this being, or this creator, this uncreated creator, had a will. The universe didn't exist, it began to exist. This uncreated creator willed the universe into existence, has a will. Created the entire universe, therefore has power. Right? Didn't just create a rock, but create a universe with all the different species and animals and plants and all the different types of atoms and molecules, and the list goes on and on, right? Interesting point, although we'll discuss this in detail later about science and evolution and does that contradict Islam or theism or not? And the short answer is no, it doesn't. But even then, if you think about it, a universe that has species that change with time is more complicated and more impressive of a creation than a universe where things are just standstill, where it's a universe that's literally just a rock. If somebody or something, some being creates a universe that's just a rock, right? Out of nothing, that's impressive because human beings are not capable of creating out of nothing. We say we created the iPhone, we created this, we created that, we created this company, but really you put things together. There are tools that already exist, there are materials and you put them together, right? Create something new, but you don't create out of non-existence. You don't get something from nothing. Only the creator of the universe can create from nothing. The universe came from nothing. And this universe is as complicated as you can see. That's why we've been studying it as far as humans have been alive, and we barely scratched the surface. So it's amazing. This creator has a will. This uncreated creator has power and knowledge and wisdom because there are laws that govern the universe, the natural laws, which we study in physics, biology, and chemistry, and anatomy, and botany, and zoology, and astronomy, right? Different disciplines under science or the natural sciences. This universe has all that to study, and laws that we write as formulas and as equations, that there are constants in the universe. Therefore, this uncreated creator has knowledge. How can you create laws unless you're a lawgiver, right? So this uncreated creator has power, has will, has knowledge, and of course a lot more. But most importantly, or very importantly, this uncreated creator must be one. And in Islam and in Arabic, we call that tawheed, right? Or monotheism, or the belief in one uncreated creator, one being. But how do we know this? Logically, rationally, in addition to the fact that it's in the Quran and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us this. But we also know this because, take this as an example. Let's say you're sitting at home just relaxing, not expecting anybody, no guests, no visitors, not expecting anyone at the door, but you're just sitting there and you hear a knock on the door. Are you going to assume there's 3 people behind the door, 5 people, 100, 360, a whole football team, a soccer team, a rugby team, a basketball team? Not really. But you hear that knock on the door, that doorbell ring, you know there's somebody behind the door. Now it could be a soccer team, a football team, a basketball team. It could be multiple people. It could be a whole lot of people. It could be. But you're not going to assume that. It's not rational to assume that. It's not logical to assume that. And that in philosophy is called Occam's razor. O-C-C-A-M, if I'm not mistaken. Occam's razor, which is that logically, scientifically, you assume, you make the least amount of assumptions possible. Right? You don't make up assumptions. You look at the data, what we know, what we share, what we've felt, seen, touched, right? What we know for certain, and you make conclusions that are as logical as possible. You make the next best assumptions. You make the conclusions that take the least amount of assumptions possible. Not just, it's possible. It's possible that there's a whole team behind the door. There's a whole group of people, but there also could be just one. So you would not assume 10 when you can assume 1. You don't assume 3 when you can assume just 1. Now somebody might say, an atheist might say, well, why don't we assume 0? 0 is a simpler number, 1. 0 assumes less than 1. You're assuming there's a creator of the universe. You don't have to assume anything. It's not scientific to assume anything. We just go with 0 gods. Because we haven't seen God, we haven't touched God, we haven't felt God. We're not certain that God exists, so I'm going to go with 0. It's more logical, more scientific. The response is, there's a knock on the door. You can't assume there's nobody behind the door. That makes no sense. That's unscientific and illogical. A knock indicates a knocker. The universe indicates a creator. Creation indicates a creator. Laws indicate a lawgiver. Order indicates somebody created order. So a knock on the door means there's somebody behind the door. And you're going to assume it's one person. Now if you're sitting at home and somebody calls you, a friend, that says, me and my 3 buddies are coming, and when you hear that knock, you're going to assume 2 people, 3 people, 4 people. Why? You had some evidence for it. So when there's a lack of evidence, you're not going to assume anything. If somebody calls you and tells you, I'm coming, me and my friends are coming, then you're going to assume a group of people behind the door when you hear that knock. But if you're not expecting anything, you have no evidence for the contrary, you're going to assume there's only one person. So just like the universe indicates an uncreated creator, we know there's one uncreated creator unless there's evidence for more than one. Now if that uncreated creator tells us, I have a family, so be it. This uncreated creator says, there are 2 of us, and we're enemies. And when we fight, our swords clash, and that clash creates, dust particles that are really other cosmos and other universes, a whole mythology, stories, fairy tales. If we had evidence for, or if this uncreated creator tells us there are many different gods and they have different powers, and it's the wind and water and sun and sky and, right? There are elements and there are different energies, or there are different universes, or there are different creators, or there are different beings, or there are different, gods, etc. Then we'd believe it. But without having evidence for any of this, it's just people making up stories, we don't believe it. The logical, scientific, rational approach is to assume as least as possible. So we know there's an uncreated creator, it necessarily exists, for the universe exists, and the universe exists, but we don't have evidence that there are other gods. And in fact, Islamic view said the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ tell us that there is only one creator. It says so in a very short and simple, beautiful chapter, which is chapter 112 in the Quran. So third to last, it says, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ اللَّهُ الصَّمَدُ لَمْ يَلِدْ وَلَمْ يُولَدْ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Basically, there's one uncreated creator, there's one being, there's one Allah, there's one creator, one God. Allah in Arabic is the God. In short, it's a contraction for Al-Ilah, Allah. God, Allah, is one. No partner, no son, no parents, right? Was not begotten, nor beget any kids. So there's no family. And this creator is outside of the universe, is not contingent upon the universe, does not need any of us, is not in need, is not dependent on anything. It's just there, right? Even before the universe existed. And there's nothing like him. And we use the pronoun him just because in Arabic everything uses him or her, but not necessarily masculine, or not necessarily a male or female, because Allah is outside the universe, is not a human, or an animal, or plant, or anything like that, nothing in creation. Nothing like him. So we just use him in the place of a pronoun, but Allah is not a male or a female. Allah is not human, but created males and females and animals and plants and the sun and the skies and all that's in existence. Nothing like Allah. So Allah is one, the uncreated creator of the universe. And that will be it for this episode, inshallah. See you guys soon. Assalamu alaikum.